In a nation crushed by corruption and fear, one woman dared to stand against a regime. She spoke when silence meant survival. She fought when hope was fading. And in 2025, the world finally listened. This is the story of Maria Corina Machado, the woman who turned Venezuela's pain into power and rose from dictatorship to the Nobel Peace Prize. In a country torn by crisis, corruption, and endless struggle, one woman dared to rise, and her name was Maria Corina Machado. Born in Caracas, Venezuela in 1967, she grew up witnessing the gradual decline of a nation once rich with oil and hope. From an early age, Maria Corina was drawn not to wealth or fame, but to justice, a rare thing in a land where speaking the truth could cost you your life. She studied industrial engineering at the prestigious Universidad Católica Andrés Bello, where she developed a sharp analytical mind and an unshakable belief that Venezuela could once again stand tall. After graduation, she could have chosen a safe career, a quiet life. But the pain of her people called her to something greater. She began working in civil society, determined to fight corruption and defend democracy. Even when the government made it clear, anyone who challenged them was the enemy. As Venezuela descended deeper into political chaos under Hugo Chávez's rule, Maria Corina refused to be silent. She founded Súmate, a civic organization that promoted free elections and transparent governance. It was a bold and dangerous move. In a regime built on propaganda and fear, Súmate became a symbol of defiance. The government branded her a traitor. The state media attacked her day and night. Yet she stood firm, saying, "To love Venezuela is to speak the truth even when it hurts." In 2004, when the recall referendum against Chávez was held, Súmate played a key role in monitoring the vote. For this, Maria Corina was accused of conspiracy and even charged with treason, all for demanding a fair election. But instead of breaking her spirit, this persecution turned her into a national icon of courage. Her voice grew louder, her message sharper. Freedom is not negotiated, it is claimed. As the years passed, the situation in Venezuela worsened. The economy collapsed, food shortages became normal, and millions fled the country. Maria Corina's struggle evolved from activism to direct political resistance. She became a member of Venezuela's National Assembly and used her platform to expose the government's human rights abuses. She called out not just the corruption but the lies that kept people afraid. She stood before a government of men who hated her and said boldly, "You can silence my microphone, but you can't silence the truth." This defiance came at a high price. She was stripped of her seat in the assembly, banned from running for office, and often followed or harassed by government agents. Her family was threatened. Her supporters were jailed. Still, she refused to leave Venezuela. She said, "They want me to flee, to give up. But I will not leave my people behind." In 2014, during massive student-led protests, Maria Corina became one of the leading voices calling for democratic change. The government labeled her a criminal, and she was accused again of plotting against the state. But even with danger closing in, she kept walking through the streets, meeting citizens, shaking hands, hugging mothers who had lost their sons to violence. Her courage began inspiring a new generation, not just in Venezuela but across Latin America. Years later, after the death of Chávez, Nicolás Maduro took power. But the dream of democracy did not die. Maria Corina continued her mission. Despite being banned from elections multiple times, she became the face of the Venezuelan opposition, the woman who refused to surrender no matter how powerful her enemies were. Her speeches reached millions online, spreading messages of hope, unity, and peace. "This is not a fight between left and right," she said. "It is a fight between freedom and oppression." By 2023 and 2024, the world began to take notice. International human rights groups started recognizing her as one of the most fearless defenders of democracy. Despite constant harassment, she organized movements for peaceful resistance. She called for sanctions against corrupt leaders, but always emphasized that Venezuela's future should be built through peace, not revenge. Her strength wasn't just political, it was deeply human. She had moments of grief, of fear, of exhaustion. Friends were exiled, colleagues disappeared. Yet in every dark moment, she found her reason to continue. The faces of her people, the cries of children hungry for food and freedom. She once said, "The government controls everything but cannot control the human spirit." In 2025, the impossible happened. The Nobel Committee in Oslo announced that the Nobel Peace Prize would go to Maria Corina Machado of Venezuela for her tireless struggle for democracy and human rights under one of the most repressive regimes in modern history. The world erupted in applause. For the first time in decades, Venezuela's name was not associated with dictatorship or poverty, but with courage and hope. When she received the news, Maria Corina was not in a grand office or on a stage. She was in a small safe house meeting with her team. Her first words were simple: "This award belongs to Venezuela." Tears filled her eyes as she spoke about her people, those who died, those who were imprisoned, those still fighting. This is for every mother who lost a son, every young person who refused to stay silent, every Venezuelan who still believes in freedom. The Nobel Committee praised her not only for political resistance, but for embodying peaceful defiance in the face of violence. They said, "Maria Corina Machado has proven that even under tyranny, peace can be a weapon stronger than fear." World leaders congratulated her. From Washington to Brussels, from Bogota to Madrid, her name was on every front page. But back in Caracas, her supporters took to the streets, waving flags, chanting her name, and crying tears of joy. For them, it wasn't just an award. It was proof that their struggle was seen by the world. In interviews after the announcement, Maria Corina remained humble. She said, "The Nobel Peace Prize does not mark the end of our fight. It is a reminder that we are not alone." Even as celebrations spread, she continued urging her followers to remain peaceful, to resist hatred, and to rebuild their nation through unity. Her journey from a young student to a global symbol of courage had taken decades. She faced dictators, prison threats, and exile, but she never gave up. Her life became a living message that peace and justice are not dreams, they are duties. Today, Maria Corina Machado stands as a light for millions around the world. Her story is not just about Venezuela. It's about every nation where people still live under fear. It's about the belief that one woman's voice, honest, brave, and unyielding, can shake even the strongest walls of tyranny. As her Nobel medal shines under the lights of Oslo, the world is reminded of something she once said: "A dictator can take your land, your freedom, even your home. But he can never take your soul, unless you give it away." Her name will forever be remembered among the great defenders of peace and human dignity. Maria Corina Machado, the woman who refused to bow, who spoke truth to power, and who proved that courage, even when alone, can change the destiny of a nation. And for Venezuela, her victory was more than a prize. It was the first sunrise after a long, dark night.